Welcome back, everybody. We are starting episode 10 of season 2
of the Joe and Todd Show.
Joe and Todd Show.
I'm Joe Mathis.
And I'm Todd Wade.
And
we're going to talk about understanding client identity and brand.
Do I say it's my favorite topic every week? Because that's what I want to say now.
It's okay if you say it again.
Okay, this is one of my favorite
sometimes,
topics.
Well, it's the whole story of the country doctor. Whatever topic we're on is your favorite topic.
That's probably true. Okay.
It's probably true.
It's probably true. No, I really like this.
It's like whatever client we're meeting with is your favorite client, and they get all your attention.
We have talked about before that I think this is one of the things that separates us from our competition sometimes. So now we're telling you, if you're our competition listening, how to compete with us better.
That's right.
That's what we just did. Now, the understanding client identity and brand, I think, is absolutely crucial in selling anything and doing anything, all of that. If you think about, going, we went from enterprise a lot. And whenever you go to enterprise, they always say, "Hey, where are you going to?" And they act like it's like they're just interested in you, but really they're going to fill out the blanks and say they're taking this car to these places and they're doing this and they're in town for business, but they do it conversationally. And, you kind of notice through the years, like car salesmen do that. Like, how many people in your family? Like, oh, you don't need a sports car, you need a minivan or whatever, SUV. And so, what do you do for a living? Like that. Like, I'm going to judge you on how much money you make. And I think in a lot of ways, that's hard for creatives, because creatives, we tend to have what we want, and you're going to get what we have, mm-hmm. and what we think is right.
We're anxious to perform, I think.
Yeah, and so learning to do that in that dance, really, with our client, we're learning to create what they want us to create. We're learning to build what's within their mission and their purpose, mm-hmm. and meeting their goals, and it's not always about us. Right. And I think that's a difficult place to be as a creative.
Right. We were talking earlier that it's important to, like when I was in high school, I went to France and I spent a month there, and that's really how I learned to speak French. I mean, I took 3 years of French beforehand, but being in the culture for a month, living with a family that only spoke French, that's when I really learned French. And so I think just immersing yourself in your client's culture, understanding who they are, how they speak, what words they use, what colors they use, how they use their logo, how they interact with their employees, what kind of services they provide, all those things is so key to working with them and speaking their language and providing what they need.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Obviously, we do guest experiences, we do events, that sort of thing. We also work with identity and branding and graphics, all that sort of thing. Yeah. And I think the hard part a lot of times is you can walk in somewhere and kind of see maybe where they need to be, and it's hard not to jump there. But we have to really understand where they are to be able to take them where they need to go. And I think that's a hard principle sometimes to get there. But
different types of clients have different languages, so to
mm-hmm.
speak. For example, manufacturing people are going to talk about processes and structure and that kind of thing, whereas education clients are going to talk about goals, and purpose, and
exactly.
outcomes,
yeah.
and that kind of thing. So, and it's not just the organization, but it's their sector.
No, that's exactly right. I think some of the things we've learned, especially in corporate. In education, and some of those is everyone does have a different place in the market, and one of our challenges a lot of times is we're intersecting with all those market segments, those marketplaces, mm-hmm. and I think it's important to realize that. Even with our nonprofit clients, if you're working with a homeless shelter, you're working with a women's place, of trying to figure out, okay, now what's their goals, and how do you design, and who are their guests? Who's a part of that organization, and what do they look like? It's an important step to get.
So I mean, we're working with one now. They're doing 3 different events for 3 very different groups of people, of their guests, and so one is for donors, one is for clients, and one is for just more casual supporters, or maybe not as affluent donors kind of people, more regular
absolutely.
volunteers, I guess maybe.
So how do you think you go in and learn their identity? How do you begin to become part of the family, figure that out, understand what that client's about?
You got to listen. You got to listen to them talk. You got to observe, see how they interact with other people. You listen to their words, pay attention to the words they're using in conversation. Pay attention to how they're using their brand and their logo. And I mean, one thing we'll talk about here in a minute is style guides. You were just working with an organization in Arkansas that had an amazing style guide that we got from them. Just super well thought out and very purposeful in how they're using their logo and why, and the colors they're using and why they're using the colors and how they use the colors and what accent colors they can use and the spacing around the logo and all the white space that's required, and whether you can use it at an angle or not, and the size it has to be.
And we made that mistake on the napkins because we'd already ordered the napkins before we saw that you're not supposed to put it at an angle, but it worked out fine. They were happy.
Put the napkins at an angle.
I turned the napkins.
Yeah, good job.
No, I think I recall years ago. A lot of times you don't have the luxury of getting their style guide because that's an awkward thing to say. Hey, can I have your style guide? I'm starting to work with you.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is easy to ask that question, but I remember years ago I worked with a national client who their name of the organization is five words, and their logo is only 4 words.
Oh.
And it took me a lot of observation to go, okay, when they use their logo or when they use it in certain ways, they're using 4 words, and when they write it in a sentence, it's 5 words.
Really?
And I just started to have to look at that and start going, okay, is that true? Is that always the case?
So just observing.
And then,
noticing.
So when I'm preparing my proposal, I'm making sure I'm doing that right. I'm consistent with what they're doing, either on their website or in print. Again, national organization, household name, everyone knows it. But then you start going, oh, no, you don't. Oh, no, you don't know it because something's different here. Yeah. We'll notice that a lot with capitalizations or, when something's maybe all caps. Is it always all caps or, is it occasionally all caps? Or what's that mean?
For example, RumbleDrum.
There you go.
We capitalize the R and the D.
And that was an afterthought.
Typing it out. Because otherwise it's rum, blood, rum.
but our logo is all lowercase.
Yes.
And so that could be confusing. I know some people have given us written to us and said, they'll just write RumbleDrum all lowercase. It's like, well, that's really wrong because our logo, I hadn't thought about that before. That's true. And that's true with a lot of companies. A lot of places will have their logo will be different than what's written out, and just learning that, figuring out their Pantone color is huge, so that your things you're doing are not in the wrong color. I personally...
So, okay, we were just talking about doing proposals in the last episode. Is it wrong to ask your client for their most current logo before you send a proposal?
So I think that depends on the relationship. I think if it's something you can easily get, a lot of times companies will have like a press kit on their
website.
Corporate, especially, they'll have a press kit on their website, and you can go to it and get it.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you search for it, haven't found it, or found inconsistencies, or not a good quality, that's maybe a time you can ask for it, or ask if it's easy to get.
An easy a friend in the company or something.
If you're dealing with a marketing department, that's an easier question than if you're dealing with corporate executive office. Yeah, exactly. Then it's kind of like, oh, do you have that? And I never want it to be a burden. I never want it to be a thing where someone's going to a lot of work to get something that I've asked for. But I think to say things like, hey, we want to get your style guide, we'll want to get your PMS colors. Is there an easy place I can find that? Is there an easy way I can get that? And I think for them to give that to you. A lot of times I will wear like that color tie to match. And I think that
I think there's clever ways you can say, hey, I'm paying attention. I noticed that, this is your color, and, I'm even choosing my Post-it note based on your colors.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So just showing people that you're paying attention.
And I think, if
you care.
If you think about people coming over to your house and how quickly they blend into your lifestyle, we have good friends who you take your shoes off when you're near their door. That's what you do.
Yeah.
And I always laugh if we're at their house and someone walks in and wears their shoes. It's obvious they haven't been there before. And it's obvious that the host of the family kind of looks at them like, seriously, dude, you just left your shoes on? Like, how offensive. And I kind of think of it the same way in our client world. If we're not paying attention to how things are spelled, what maybe their little quirks, even sometimes it feels like things are not that big a deal. It's just not that important. The spelling of a name or when they abbreviate it. We have a client who does not like, what's it called when you do like FBI rather than Federal Bureau of acronyms. They don't like acronyms at all. And it took me a little bit to figure that out, but to realize, you never see an acronym on any of their information. And so I'm not going to use an acronym even on a agenda or something because I want to be like them.
They don't like the ampersand.
They never use the ampersand. We found that out 15 years from working with them. That's kind of interesting. The other thing that...
and then like a month later, we found out from another client, it was in their style guide.
Yes.
That this client doesn't use the ampersand.
And I loved it. That's great. I think there's other things you can pick up on. One client I have had for a long time, whenever you have a meeting, they always want an agenda. And you send that ahead of time, or you have it prepared, you have it printed, and that's just part of their company culture. They never have a meeting without an agenda.
Which is a good practice anyway.
It's a good practice anyway, but especially with those people.
Come to a meeting there.
Exactly.
An agenda. Yeah.
We have clients where we dress more formally. We dress maybe with jackets and ties. Our ladies will wear dresses or suits. Learning all of those variations of not just a sports coat, but a suit. Not just a jacket, but a suit, that sort of thing. And then we have some clients that I think if we went in a suit and tie, they would be offended, especially my monogram cuffs and like, what in the world? Who are the attorneys that just walked in?
So why is having a defined style and brand important to a company, do you think? I mean, it's kind of an assumption.
Is that somewhere there?
You
just came up with that. But you need to say, oh my word! We talk about content. We spend all this time in content meetings, and then you come up with this question that you just think is brilliant.
It is.
Did I come up with enough time to kind of think about what I'm going to answer?
You got a good idea?
No. I think that's kind of like all of us. We want to.
I can answer the question for you if you want.
Okay, go ahead and answer. Because I think for all of us, we want to develop our own style. What were you going to say? What do you want to say?
Well, I think it shows that you've put thought into it. I mean, we're developing a style guide for RumbleDrum right now. We've kind of have rules.
And if you would like to have it,
you're going to offer it.
You can write to us. No, it's not ready yet.
No, but I mean, we have kind of some unwritten rules about how we use our logo and the color, what Pantone color we use, that kind of thing. But we're working on really writing all that down so that as we hire new people, they know how to use our logo. And we can even give it out to people as they want to look at it.
One of the places.
But, so my point is, it shows that you've put some thought into it. You care about how you appear and how you present yourself to people, and it shows that you're consistent in what you do, and there's a level of professionality to it.
No, I think that's exactly right. For us, we were talking recently. A lot of our office stuff is orange. We use orange a lot in our decor and that sort of thing. And we started talking about opening an office in another city and turning that over to somebody else to open. Mm-hmm. And that's when it kind of became real to me of, okay, do I need to buy this stuff I want in their office and send it to them, or do I need to write it down and say this is what you'll use? Or, what I started thinking, like, what happens if they do something totally different? And I think that's probably how clients feel sometimes when they hire an outside professional. Is are they gonna go off brand? Are they gonna use something totally different? So again, we long time. Had a client whose colors were orange, and they're in the equipment manufacturing business, and their equipment is orange. I guess I can't tell you who it is, but it's kind of fun that all their events we had orange somewhere. That was always part of what we did. We a lot of times include their logo. A lot of times we have logoed items as giveaways, and I think it's really important to just continue that in their in their event. And I think no matter if I'm doing a painting for their corporate office or if I'm, redesigning their website, whatever, I've got to demonstrate to them that I understand them.
Yes.
And I get them. It's definitely important.
I mean, it also, I think it saves some time in decision making too. If you're not having to think through, what is that orange that we use, and go find it. No, it's all right there in your style guide, and I think that helps you make decisions faster.
I was super intrigued by one of our guys the other day. Matt is on our staff, and he had delivered some stuff, and I just had him working on a little project. Our client was doing a giveaway, and I brought the bags. I had everything I wanted to put that giveaway, and I just hadn't gotten accomplished. And so I was asking Matt, hey, can you jump in and kind of help me with this giveaway item? And so I was trying to figure out how I wanted to do the ribbon. I had the ribbon in their right color and all that sort of thing, and I tied it in a bow. And I was thinking, that kind of looks nice. It's supposed to be sophisticated and elegant, kind of matches them. And then I did one in a knot and just said, which I don't know which one I like better. And it was really cool to me because he said, oh, the knot is definitely more them. It's more modern. It's more sleek. It's more minimalist. It's not, he says, I know you guys are maximalist. I know you like that, but the client doesn't. And that was so cool to me. And it was cool that Matt picked up on that.
Yeah, he was thinking about it.
And thinking about how to do this knot on a package. And he was exactly right. That as simple as that sounds, whether to tie a bow or to tie a knot, as simple as that is, that's a big deal. And so we tied knots on all of them, and it looked right, and it matched everything. The client was very happy and impressed. They felt like it just all kind of went together and made a statement.
It's cool that Matt got that.
Absolutely.
And I think that's something you've got to ingrain in your employees, or find someone who naturally does that and observes and kind of intuit that. But that's really valuable to have someone who can.
One thing we do in our office, and I've been criticized, I think, sometimes that I take this too far. I'm always glad you support me on this. But even if we get a box from somewhere in shipping, we don't write our name for that company on there. We write their name, the name they like, whether that's spelled out correctly, whether that's an acronym, whatever that is. We all caps. We write that out, and we often use the same colors that they would use. We try to use, if I'm packing up something for them, I'm going to put it in their company color, or like you mentioned, Post-it notes earlier. And I think that's a real subtle way. People may never see that box that comes from us that we're unpacking, but I think if they subtly figure out, oh, their college, we use blue, and that's their college colors, that becomes a big deal. Like, that's really cool that's how you've packed that box up. And I think, again, because we have the education clients, we have so many education clients and so many healthcare clients, that I think we've almost learned that branding comes naturally for a lot of the colleges. A lot of education branding comes naturally because you're using mascots and colors, and your students wear the colors. And
it's a large group. It's a large group of people you're trying to get all going in the same direction too.
Exactly, and I think that's an easy transition for us to kind of fit in under that. But good stuff. This is really good stuff. And what else was there?
I think that's it. We covered it all.
This is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Again, I think figuring this out and
email Joe for our style guide.
Figuring this out and understanding the identity and branding of a company and taking that on. And again, I can't emphasize enough that as creatives, that's hard because we tend to have our own ideas, and I don't care what kind of company you are. I don't care if you're, like I said, doing paintings or graphics or delivering logoed items, printing, whatever it is. The more you can take on what's important to that company, the more you have a client for life. Right. And I think that's part of what we're going to establish in that is we're family.
Right.
We have clothes that match their clothes. We have their logo on our clothes. It's like, it's hard to get rid of us. It's hard not to think to call us because we're easy. We get them. We understand the rules. We know the rules they play by. And along with that, this is kind of just an extra tip, but we try to learn about leadership, and we try to learn, especially if we're doing a board retreat or doing something where we're involved in that leadership. We want to know who's on the board, what do they look like. We want to recognize them by name. refer to them the way they like to be referred to, and do that direction. And that's an extra step sometimes, but I think that's a super important thing in learning identity. But
It's worth it.
this has been cool. This is fun.
Good stuff.
It's been really fun. Next week is, I'm going to look ahead.
What is it?
It's understanding client identity and brand. Oh, no, it's not.
Wrong one.
Wrong one. The next one is, that's a wrap. Gift giving.
Gift giving.
Oh, it's going to go right along with
We're going
this.
to talk about giftology.
Really? That book?
Mhm.
Love that. Very cool.
It's a good book. All right. Well, be sure and email us any questions you have. Love to help you guys out. Todd at RumbleDrum.com, Joe at RumbleDrum.com. And don't forget to like us and follow us, subscribe, all
Rate
the good
us.
things.
Give
Rate
us. Give us your opinions.
Yep.
Ratings.
We're on YouTube.
What's helpful?
All the
We heard this
all the
week.
social media.
We heard this week from your college friend. That was
That's
super
right.
cool.
My good friend Dow Tippett.
Yeah, he wrote to us, my friend too, but he wrote and it had something he'd been listening to. That was super cool.
Yeah.
We love to get emails, so do that. That was really fun. Just to run into people that listen is a really cool thing to us. So let us know you do. That's a
All
good
right.
thing.
We'll see you next time.
Have a good week.
Take care.